How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Newsmax interview with the CEO of MyPillow, Mike Lindell. This interview has pretty much gone viral because it went off the rails. And when I say off the rails, I do mean just that. I'm talking about off the railroad track, into the gravel, into the dirt, off the edge of the cliff, and into the water at the base of the cliff. It was a big mess. Now, there's a lot I want to say about this particular interview, but before we get into that, let's roll two clips. The first clip will be the interview in question and the incident that happened during the interview. And the second one will be a clip that kind of gives more context to the first one. After we get done watching both of those, I'll come back. I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep detail analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
So what happened? What happened with your Twitter account and the company page?
Well, first mine was taken down because we have all the election fraud with these Dominion machines. We have 100% proof. And then when they took it down about 3 weeks ago, and then when I put it back up, my personal, it was a
Mike, thank you very much. Mike, you're talking about machines that we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those kinds of allegations. We just want to let people know that there's nothing substantive that we've seen. And let me read you something there. While there were some clear evidence of some cases of vote fraud and election irregularities, the election results in every state were certified, and Newsmax accepts the results as legal and final. The courts have also supported that view. So we wanted to talk to you about canceling culture, if you will. We don't want to relitigate the allegations that you're making, Mike, because we understand where you are. So let me ask you this. Do you think that this should be temporary because it appears to be permanent? Could you make an argument that it is temporary?
What?
Could you make an argument that this could be a temporary banning rather than permanent?
No, I want it to be a permanent because you know what? They did this because I'm revealing all the evidence on Friday of all the election fraud with these machines. So I'm sorry if you think it's not
Mike,
it's real.
Can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please? I don't want to have to keep going over this.
Actually,
we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those allegations that you're
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about just what is happening overall in terms of censorship of...
Trying to cancel out my company and myself in this country. It's cancel culture.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, don't react just yet, because I know some guys and girls have said, hey, I'm done with Newsmax. They're dead to me. I'm going to watch something else. All this, that, and the third. I get it. I totally understand. But we have much more to talk about. Let's roll the second clip so you get a little bit more understanding of the first one, and then you'll see where I'm at with my final analysis. So let's go ahead and roll that one.
And Mike, thanks for coming on the show. Good to have you again. Obviously, you were on the network earlier in the day. We made some waves there. We'll leave it at that. But you and Newsmax have always had a very good relationship. We didn't have a chance to have a full conversation about you being canceled and targeted by big tech. It's one of the biggest issues we're really concerned about here at Newsmax. I want you to just tell us what exactly Twitter has done and how it's impacted your business.
Well, they took down my personal one, too. And then just yesterday, I actually put up on my Pillow account, I put down, hey, you guys, here's what I posted on my personal, why Jack took this down. And it was a nice letter from one of my employees because my integrity is getting attacked everywhere right now. And they took it down in about 5 minutes. And so now it's funny, all the news media was reaching out to me today going, well, how are you going to get your messaging out there? How are you going to talk to your customers? And you know what? Our customers have always stepped up right now. It's amazing. Just like Newsmax did. The other day, you guys had the promo code Newsmax.
Right.
Go to mypillow.com and you saved up to 66%. And you can still do that. You guys have been great. And everyone out there has been great.
All right. So you saw that. Now, obviously, the second clip was after the first one. So he appeared on the same network, I think, later that day. He was still on there, and it was all good between the two of them. Now, the question you may ask yourself is, hey, why would Mike Lindell go back on Newsmax after he was treated that way in the very first one, okay? And he was giving them praise and showering them with praise. Like, why would he go back? Well, I'll tell you why. The first clip, the reaction from the interviewer is not the fault of Newsmax. It's not their fault. They had no choice. Dominion, the voting machine company, threatened them with a lawsuit. They already sued Giuliani for $1.3 billion. I'm talking about billion with a B. All right. B as in big money. B as in, boy, don't be stupid. Billion. They sued one guy for $1.3 billion, Rudy Giuliani, because of what he said about Dominion. So what would they sue Newsmax or Fox News or OAN for? All right. Because Dominion put out a notice alerting everybody, all these news companies, like, hey, man, you putting out information about us, we're going to sue you. Understand how lawsuits go. Even if you don't have to pay the settlement, it doesn't even matter. If you win, you still might end up losing. You understand? Because how much is litigation going to be? I'm a stupid amount of money. Lawyers, a team to take on a company like Dominion. We're talking about $1 billion in potential. I mean, that right there is going to be crazy. That the time, the money, the resources, Newsmax does not have. If Newsmax were to follow through with that case or to get sued, they'd be toast. So it wouldn't even matter if they would have Mike Lindell come on there and talk about them if they're not even there. So, they want to be able to have Mike Lindell have a voice and others have a voice. How are you going to have a voice when you're no longer in existence because you tried to fight up against Dominion? And even if they win their case, which you're not going to win, I'll talk about that in a minute. Even if they did win, they still lose because of litigation. All right. The lawyers are going to cost a lot of money. The time you take out your day and having the whole team and then the money, it's just too much. It's just too much going on. Now, the reason why I say they probably can't win that, and I think they are not going to win, is because they don't have evidence to be able to prove their case. Now, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. Mike Lindell was saying he's going to release some evidence to prove what he's saying. Well, you need to have that evidence already and then say what you're saying. But you can't say, oh, we're going to release it and then not approve it without having it in hand, without having it right on deck to be able to show to the world. If you have that, then that's a different story. But if you don't have it, now you got, a case of defamation and libel, slander. Giuliani himself was on Fox News talking about how Kennedy was slanderous towards him when he was talking about evidence that he has as it relates to, the whole thing that was going on back then. When she was trying to call him Christopher Steele and it's a whole conspiracy, all this, that, and the third. That's the reality of the situation. So Newsmax is on Mike Lindell's side, as Mike Lindell said. But what are they going to do when they already apologized? They already came out, made a statement talking about how they can't prove that they've already kind of pre-settled the Dominion situation. They already came out with a public statement, kind of apologizing and retracting. So they can't have Mike Lindell come on there and say that and then get sued and go back on what they said. It's just too much because they already done put out that they're wrong. So if they go back on what they said, that's going to be evidence against them. They be in a bad situation. So it does not make sense to talk about Dominion on Newsmax. Now, the question is, where can you do it? Social media, have an anonymous source come out there, put out information. All right. I mean, how is anybody going to sue an anonymous source? Just a random person and then put it out as an opinion. How are you going to sue for an opinion from an anonymous person? But if Newsmax goes on the air and then they say what's happening, they publish it, they allow it to be on their networks without countering it, they have a lawsuit on their back. But if you put it out to social media through ghost channels and it kind of spreads and goes viral, what you going to do about that? Not a whole lot, not much at all, And I do think that a lot of things that happen to people, a lot of these lawsuits kind of are, one directional. They don't really go too much towards the other side, but sometimes they do. We saw what happened with Nick Salmon. Remember when Nick Salmon got confronted by the so-called native elder Nathan Phillips, the rabble rouser, and the video came out, and a lot of these news outlets were saying, oh, he has a punchable face and he was harassing that old man. He's a white supremacist and it caused all kind of problems. People came to his school, Covington Catholic in Kentucky, right in the Cincinnati area. They came to his school and they protested and they sent the death threats. Oh yeah, so Nick Salmon is getting settlements from your CNNs, Washington Post, etc., because of what they did. They did not have evidence to prove their claim. They might have thought that what they were saying was true. Obviously, it wasn't. Now, I'm not trying to compare the whole thing with the voting to Nick Salmon and how they were trying to attack this man for just standing there doing nothing. No, but it doesn't even matter. How I feel about a situation is totally irrelevant. All that really matters is the law. What can you prove and what can you not prove? If you can't prove a thing definitively in court and you say something about somebody that has not been proven that way, then you got a lawsuit potentially on your back. That's just kind of how it is. That's why I say in certain videos that, hey, this is just my opinion. I'm just a commentator. All I do is talk and give my opinion. You could do that all day long, give your opinion, but then when you're talking about, oh, I got evidence and they did it and this happened, you're talking about a specific company, now you got a different thing on your back, all right? You could say, I think that this company is not good, but when you say specific things, that's just legal situations. So to make a long story short, Newsmax had no choice but to do what they did because of legal reasons, because of finances. And I think that Mike Lindell knows that because he went right back on the network and spoke again that same night. There's ways around this whole thing, but to go about it in the way that Mike Lindell was trying at the beginning is just not possible because of the legal barrier. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Should Newsmax have let Mike Lindell talk at the very beginning, regardless of what's going on with the legal situation? Just take that battle, 1.3 billion they gave Giuliani on his back. That might be 10 billion when you're talking about Newsmax, an actual company. They may be trying to get funding. I mean, is it even worth it? Because we already know what the situation is with the voting. Ain't no point in having to keep going back over and over it again. They had Mike Lindell on there talk about how he had been canceled and to give him a platform to speak about certain things. They're not going to cancel him because he brought up a thing that they're not able to talk about. Twitter just totally canceled him because of that. They said, okay, we're going to delete you all the way. Newsmax is like, okay, we can't talk about that because of legal problems, but you can speak about other things and promote your company. You still have a voice. That's the whole thing at the end of the day. But were they wrong for how they handled it? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think the interview was crazy, but they had no choice. So what are you going to do? All right. I think it's more important for Newsmax to exist and to act as another voice for conservatives where we're getting canceled everywhere rather than not being there because of a dispute over one particular issue. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.